Welcome to Vanished Voices UK, your new favourite spot for curious missing persons cases, true crime stories, and in-depth investigations. Gone without a trace, the mystery of Daniel Entwistle. In the quiet seaside town of Great Yarmouth, Norfolk, a young child seemingly disappeared into thin air. 7-year-old Daniel Entwistle was last seen in 2003, and despite massive efforts to uncover the truth, his fate remains a haunting mystery. This is the story of one of Britain's saddest and most mysterious missing persons cases. Daniel Entwistle was an energetic and cheeky 7-year-old. With light brown hair and a strong northern accent, he was known for his lively personality. On the day he disappeared, he was dressed in a blue Adidas t-shirt with stripes on the sleeves, blue tracky bottoms and grey trainers. He lived with his parents, Paula and David, in a quiet part of Great Yarmouth. That weekend was supposed to be calm, with Paula unwell and resting at home, while David was also there. What followed would upend their lives forever. On the 3rd of May 2003, the day began like any other Saturday, but things took a terrible turn. At around 5:05 PM, Daniel was captured on CCTV at a local shop called Blenco's. He was seen buying a bottle of milk. He returned home briefly, then left again on his little red BMX bike. Earlier that afternoon at around 3:30 PM, Daniel had been spotted playing with other children near the River Yare at Trinity Quay. As evening approached and he didn't come home for dinner, his parents started to worry. By 8 PM they had contacted the police. Authorities acted quickly. Officers and volunteers searched overnight. In the early hours of Sunday, Daniel's BMX was found leaning against a wall close to the River Yare. That discovery shifted the focus of the search to the water. Specialist teams were brought in, including divers and sonar units. Helicopters hovered above while sniffer dogs patrolled the banks. Despite exhaustive efforts, there was no sign of Daniel. Superintendent Julian Gregory publicly acknowledged growing fears for the boy's safety, the longer he remained missing. The case became one of Norfolk's most resource-heavy investigations. Over 2,500 leads were pursued, and police collected around 580 witness accounts. The inquiry cost exceeded £300,000. Yet beyond Daniel's bike, no concrete evidence was ever recovered. The community rallied. Flyers bearing Daniel's face were distributed en masse. Vigils and remembrance events were held. The media kept the story in the public eye, amplifying the urgency for answers. With no firm leads, multiple theories took root. Some believed Daniel may have had a tragic accident by the river, but according to some reports, he was fearful of water and couldn't swim. This information casts doubt on this theory and suggests that he wouldn't risk getting too close to the river's edge. Sadly, attention turned towards Daniel's father, David, who had a conviction in 1987. However, police never formally accused him, and no direct evidence tied him to Daniel's disappearance. Daniel had ADHD, and some speculated that this may have led to impulsive behaviour, meaning that he may have left of his own volition. Yet, given his age and the lack of credible sightings, unsurprisingly, this theory didn't hold much weight. In the aftermath of Daniel's disappearance, local residents reported a bonfire in a back garden on Copperfield Avenue during the early hours of May 4th, 2003. This detail raised concerns about potential evidence being destroyed. However, there is no public record confirming whether the police investigated this bonfire or collected any related forensic evidence. The absence of official information leaves this aspect of the case speculative. Daniel's story was featured widely across national outlets and was later covered in a 2015 episode of Donald McIntyre's Unsolved, which examined various possibilities. Despite renewed exposure, no new evidence surfaced. In 2023, marking 2 decades since Daniel went missing, Norfolk Police issued another public appeal, urging anyone with information, however minor it might seem, to come forward. This anniversary was covered on ITV and local news stations, which included interviews with detectives and reenacted appeals. The campaign aimed to jog memories and reach individuals who might have withheld information or recalled new details. As we reflect on the investigation into Daniel Entwistle's disappearance, several pressing questions remain. Were all nearby properties and residents thoroughly investigated at the time? Was forensic analysis ever carried out on the site of the alleged bonfire? Could additional surveillance footage have been retrieved from nearby shops or traffic cameras? Was there any consideration given to reopening the investigation with new forensic technologies? Have all witness statements been reviewed with fresh eyes in recent years? These questions aren't just rhetorical, they represent real avenues for renewed focus. If you're watching this and you have thoughts, theories or information, even if you think it might not matter, your insight can help keep the conversation alive. We encourage you to respectfully share your thoughts and questions in the comments below. By keeping Daniel's story in the public eye, we can help ensure that the search for truth continues. Now, in 2025, Daniel would be a grown adult. His case remains open and unresolved. The Norfolk Constabulary continues to seek leads, encouraging people to get in touch at 01953 423 819. For his family and the local community, the ache of uncertainty endures. The hope persists that someday, someone will reveal the missing piece of this tragic puzzle. Daniel Entwistle's disappearance sent a ripple of fear through Great Yarmouth. For many families, it reshaped the way parents viewed their children's safety in public spaces. In the aftermath, Norfolk Constabulary is believed to have reassessed aspects of its response protocols for missing children. Though not all procedural changes were disclosed publicly, it's known that many UK police forces, including Norfolk, adopted more stringent measures for handling the golden hours following such disappearances in the years that followed. Local schools reportedly responded by reinforcing safety messages and encouraging more structured parental communication about where the children were playing or going. Community awareness increased with informal neighbourhood watches and greater scrutiny of suspicious behaviour. While no large-scale public safety overhaul was launched specifically in Daniel's name, the case continued to serve as a cautionary tale in regional safety campaigns. Daniel's disappearance is tragically not an isolated case. Other high-profile missing children cases in the UK provide context and contrast. Ben Needham disappeared on the Greek island of Kos, aged 21 months. Despite international attention and excavations years later, his fate still remains unknown. Like Daniel, Ben's case suffered from an initial lack of evidence and no confirmed sightings. Madeleine McCann went missing from a Portuguese resort. Her disappearance became one of the most reported child abduction cases in modern history. In contrast to Daniel's case, Madeleine's disappearance generated massive global media coverage and prompted significant diplomatic engagement. Claudia Lawrence, though an adult, her case echoes Daniel's in the sense of a sudden disappearance with limited forensic evidence and enduring media and public interest. These comparisons show how varying degrees of exposure, available evidence, and investigatory momentum can shape the direction of longevity for missing persons cases. Daniel's story, while not as widely covered as others, remains just as important. Daniel Entwistle's disappearance stands as a stark reminder of how quickly a life can vanish, and how deeply such a mystery can scar those left behind. Thank you for joining us in exploring the case of Daniel Entwistle. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and remember, every missing person deserves to be found. Like, comment and subscribe to see more short videos about missing people in the UK and to see upcoming long-form videos investigating unusual disappearances.